There, I'll mute myself until you're done.
Okay, all right, sounds great. Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Napier. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all Illinois students. Just a couple of key things before I turn it over to Heather Chase at Miami University. If you want to ask questions, please use the Q&A button to type those questions. One of the things that's important for you to recognize is that your camera and your microphone are both off. And if there are sessions that you see on down the line that you'd like to sign up for, please feel free to check out the schedule at www.iacac.org. And then lastly, recording will be available. So if you've got a friend who needs to hear about Miami University and wasn't able to attend tonight, they will be able to maybe see the question and answer that you've provided tonight. So we wish you all the best, and Heather, take it away.
Hi guys, my name is Heather Chase. I'm from Miami University. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm seeing that there are about 7 of you on, so I'm happy to see you all and get started with our presentation on Miami tonight. First, I just want to quickly introduce myself. I'm Heather. I've been with Miami, this is my 9th year with Miami. I'm also a Miami alum, and so that's been really fun to be able to talk about my own alma mater, which I'm obviously very biased, but I think it's a great experience and would love to share more. The neatest thing for me is just to see every year how much cooler it gets. So how great you guys would have it as coming to Miami next year as students. So hopefully let's get started with sharing some presentations, and let me see what I can tell you about Miami. I'm going to share my screen really quick here. So just 1 second, and then you should be able to see the Miami presentation. I always joke when I do these presentations that I spend a lot of time during my day I have 2 daughters who are in elementary school and who are doing remote learning, as I'm guessing many of you are too. And so I get to hear the 2nd grade all day long going, and I take all my pointers and tips on presentations from my daughter's 2nd grade teacher, who is amazing. So I hope I do a good job, and I promise not to quiz you on things like colors and basic math. That being said, welcome to Miami. I want to tell you a little bit first about our campus, and for anyone who has visited us, prior to now, first of all, congrats. That's fantastic. Apologize for my runny nose and the ragweed in the air. But if you have visited, that's wonderful. And let me tell you, you're one step ahead of a lot of our students who were kind of shut out due to COVID. So many of our visits were canceled in March going forward. And now we have just recently reopened our campus visits. So if you are looking to join us at all, we do have some visit opportunities up on our website, and we'd love to have you down. Of course, visiting a college campus looks a little bit different right now because we can't have that giant auditorium full of people and visitors and their parents and their friends and everybody, but we certainly hope to have you on campus and have you take a little tour. We keep everything outdoors, everybody wears a mask, and so far so good, we're doing all right. So if you are interested in touring, hop on our website because you can see that a little bit more in depth there and register for something. Of course you have to register in advance, so please be sure to do that. But telling you a little bit about Miami now. Miami is a public school in Southwest Ohio. We are about 5 hours away from the Chicago area. I'm guessing that that's where a couple of you are coming from. We are a public institution, so a lot of people think we're private. We look and feel a little bit like a private school, and yet we are a public school. And we're home to about, we're mid-sized schools, about 17,000 undergraduate students attend Miami, roughly 2,000 graduate students as well. So that ratio, when you look at undergrad versus graduate students, our ratio of undergrad students is obviously the majority of our students are undergrad students. You don't see a whole lot of graduate students at Miami. When I talk to students in the Illinois area, typically it's what's your college list? It usually looks like Miami, a couple local schools, and then some Big Tens. And what I always compare Miami with Big Ten schools to is I usually say, look, Miami is such a cool environment like that, where you've got D1 athletics, you've got a really, super school spirit environment, but at the same time, it's about half the size. So our classes are a little bit smaller. Our student body of 17,000 students, you're going to recognize faces when you walk to and from class. Your professors are going to know you, and you're going to have that experience of saying hi to friends as you're walking to and from class. But at the same time, you're going to always be meeting new people. With our population of 17,000 students, roughly half of those students are from out of state and half are from Ohio. So being a public public school, it's a little different, right? Because a lot of times public schools have the bulk of their students being from that state, but with Miami, not so much. We draw students from all over the country, which is really fun and really a neat way to, kind of have a neat dynamic on campus. So average class size at Miami is about 30 students. Its student-teacher ratio is about 17-1. As I think I mentioned earlier, our professors do teach the majority of classes. So where you might have a graduate assistant or a student or teaching assistant helping out a professor, you really will very rarely have them teaching a class solely with you. So honestly, when I was in school at Miami, I did have a few grad assistants that were very, very helpful in class that, they'd spend a lot of time with us outside of class going over stuff, but so would the professor. And so really, I think a lot of time graduate students get a little bit of a bad rap, but when they are involved in a classroom experience at Miami, they're pretty fantastic. So not a bad thing at all. Let's carry on here and look a little bit at academics at Miami. So Miami is very strong in our undergrad education experience. And again, my experience is 20 years old, so I don't want to focus too much on that, but I will tell you, I really still believe that Miami is such a rich and engaging undergrad experience, whether you are, doing an undergrad in business and intend to go into the workforce right away, or whether you're taking an undergrad in chemistry and you intend to go on to dental school or medical school, or, whichever route you tend to go. I really believe that solid undergrad foundation at Miami is it's hard to beat that. We are ranked top 5 in the country among public institutions for our commitment to undergraduate teaching. And that is a true testament to our professors, to those people who are teaching you starting freshman year, sophomore year, junior, senior year. They're so passionate about their subject, but also about teaching freshmen, about teaching sophomores. Those people that, are your first kind of touch points in the academic community at Miami can just be so phenomenal and so awesome. And so I think you will find that. I realize if you have friends at Miami, probably the first thing you're asking them about Miami is not, how are your classes? I realize it's probably, what do you do on Friday night? But I will tell you that academically speaking, it's hard to beat the Miami education. It really is. There's a couple highlights that you'll see over on the right, the Global Miami Plan, which Miami is a liberal arts institution. And so the Global Miami Plan is how we're a liberal arts institution, basically saying that in addition to your undergraduate major, let's say you're majoring in business or finance, for example, in addition to your finance classes and your business classes, you're also taking well-rounded liberal arts classes. And you're doing that kind of simultaneously freshman year. So initially you might have, intro to finance or intro to business or calculus, things like that, but you're also maybe taking a humanities class, or maybe you're taking a social science class too during your freshman year to get started working on your liberal arts core curriculum. Those of us who graduated from liberal arts institutions, you probably hear a lot of us, talking about the value of liberal arts. And in my opinion, the value of liberal arts is just how flexible it makes your brain, right? You might have a finance mindset. You might be very numbers oriented if you're a finance major, but you also can think in humanitarian ways. You can think in social scientist ways. You can think in scientist ways. And thank you for that. I see your question, Mina Henry. Oh, I shouldn't have said your name. I'm sorry, but I see a question hanging there and asking, is Miami a Research One institution? We are not a Research One institution, but I will tell you, and you see that other bullet there about undergraduate research, we do offer so many undergrad research opportunities for students as students their freshman year. So roughly 2,600 of our freshmen or of our undergrad students are doing research with faculty members and are, doing that like as early as their freshman year, but sometimes all throughout their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So there are tons of research opportunities for students as early as freshman year to get into that environment. Anecdotally, your professors will stand up at the beginning of class and they'll say, hi, I'm Heather. I study this and this is my research, and so if you have a professor like that you hear in class that says, this is what I do, and you're excited about that, go talk to them automatically. They'd be happy to, engage with you and tell you more. But also if you don't have that, experience right away, there's also an undergrad office of undergrad research that you can go to and talk with those professors and just kind of say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Here's what I, have in mind for research, or I don't really know what I have in mind, but I'm studying bio. What do I do? And that office will help to connect you with people who are, in areas that are interesting to you. One other thing I want to highlight is our study abroad program, which I realize in the COVID era, right? It's kind of hard to imagine getting on a plane and going abroad. But that being said, we do have so many study abroad opportunities, and we're pretty confident that we'll come back in a year or so here, that we'll be, back up at full speed with study abroad opportunities. Miami has a campus, our own campus in Luxembourg, which is smack in the middle of Europe. So a lot of our students enjoy time in Luxembourg. It's a Miami campus, so all Miami classes, or all of the classes offered there are Miami classes. Also, Miami professors teach there. And Yes, you may visit the campus and look around if you'd like to. I see your question popping up there too. But yes, in Luxembourg, there are all Miami students studying there and all Miami professors teaching there. So our campus in Luxembourg is kind of our own, and really, really great for Miami students to study abroad. But outside of that, additionally, you've got other opportunities to study abroad in more than 90 different countries. So lots of cool things. If you're an architecture major, our architecture kids go to Ghana every year. Our biology students do a lot in the Caribbean islands in January. So there's lots of trips that are specific to certain majors that get some really cool, have a really cool reputation if that is your major. So carrying on, I could clearly talk about this all day. I want to keep moving just in the interest of time. Miami is split into 5 academic divisions, and like most college or like most universities, we divide our college into 5 different colleges, and our majors fall within them. We have more than 120 majors right now. While at the undergrad level, we have co-majors, we have minors. It's very common for a Miami student to not just have one major and have that be it, but to have, you know, a minor or 2 or a co-major or a focus in a certain area also. So you'll see that here listed under 5 of our colleges. I like to talk a little bit about admission in terms of these colleges, because that's kind of the way we admit students. Although in most cases, when you're admitted to Miami University, and you want to study a certain major, you're just admitted to that major right away. So it's not necessarily that you have to get admitted directly to a major and nothing more. Really, when you're admitted, a lot of majors are open to you and you can start right away. And for certain colleges, the College of Arts and Science, the College of Engineering and Computing, and also the College of Education, Health and Society, with all 3 of those colleges, once you're admitted to Miami, you're just into your major. So if you want to study education and you put that down on your Common App and you get admitted to Miami, you're going to find yourself admitted to an education major. The College of Creative Arts has very similar academic criteria, but of course, beyond that, if you're auditioning for theater, or if you're auditioning for music, or if you're, you know, you may have to submit a portfolio for majors like architecture or design. But outside of that, if you participate in that portion of it, either the portfolio or the audition, academically, the criteria to get into creative arts is the same. It's just that you have that extra step of a portfolio or audition throughout the process. The anomaly to this are the last 2, the business school and the school or the major in nursing. The business school itself is a little bit more selective, meaning that not everybody that gets admitted to Miami is automatically in a business major if they request it. Likewise with nursing, not everybody that gets into Miami is just automatically brought into nursing. And so in a couple minutes here in the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about admission to both business and nursing and how it's just a bit more selective. So point being though, if you are interested in business or if you are interested in nursing, you should absolutely put that down on your Common App, because you want to be considered for that major. And that really the only way to be considered for a business major or a nursing major is to put down on your Common App that that's what you want to major in. So there isn't a separate application to business majors or a separate application to nursing. It's really just on your Common App when you get to that part that says, what do you want to major in? Choose the business major or choose the nursing major, and that will get you considered for direct admission to their programs, okay? But every other major outside of business and nursing, and obviously creative arts, once you're into Miami, you're into the major and you're ready to rock, and you're starting right away in your freshman year in that major. So carrying on, you'll see a list of all of our majors here. I kind of hate putting all this text in front of you because I do feel like it's a lot for you to look at. But of course, these majors are listed on our website too. The majors with stars after them are what we call co-majors. And a co-major at Miami can't be your only thing. It has to attach on to a regular major too. So if you're dying to study fashion at Miami, you can absolutely do that, but you have to attach it to another major. So students will attach that to a business major or journalism major or something that is the full major, and then fashion will be your co-major. A co-major is not as large as a double major, so you can definitely finish in 4 years. And then likewise, a co-major is a little bigger than a minor. So if you want to do a little bit more than a minor in an area, you've got a lot of co-majors here. We also have a list this large of minors. So if you are, thinking, well, I really like anthropology, but I also want to do a little bit in Spanish because I've taken that all along and I like it. You can absolutely declare a minor or a co-major at any point. You'll find on your Common App, seniors, if you're filling out Common Apps, you won't see a spot for minors and for co-majors. Those are things that you declare once you're a Miami student. And it's not hard to declare them. It's not selective to do that, but we don't have space in our admissions section of things to add any more than your one major. So Basically, when you apply, you're applying to one major. You'll have 3 different slots on your Common App. Put your top 3 choices of major. To be honest, we only use slot number 1. So really just make sure your number 1 choice major is on there. And then co-majors and minors can be added, once you've confirmed with Miami, once you decide you're coming and you're an official student with us, then we add in the other stuff or the bonus material. So this is kind of our majors. And then carrying on a little bit to keep on the academic trend here, we'll talk a little bit about honors opportunities at Miami. There are quite a few different honors opportunities at Miami, and all of these are things that you can apply to right now, coming out of high school. The Prodesse Scholars Program, the first one, is really more of a freshman year experience. It doesn't go beyond freshman year as far as your involvement in the program, but it does come with a little extra scholarship money, which is kind of nice. So if you are chosen as a Prodesse Scholar, and Prodesse Scholars is specific to certain majors or certain disciplines. So there is a Prodesse Scholars Program in healthcare for students who are interested in going on to careers in healthcare, whether it's physical therapy or medicine or nutrition or, any of those areas. And then the Honors College is a bit different because the Honors College is not necessarily connected to any major. So truly any student with any major or a student who is undecided on a major can apply and, be taken into the Honors College or be accepted for a spot in the Honors College. Where Prodesse Scholars, as you're applying, you might notice that with Prodesse Scholars, maybe you want to major in geology and you're just really not seeing a Prodesse Scholars discipline area that really fits your geology interests. That's totally fine. Just apply to the Honors College. And when I say apply, there is a separate application to the honors programs. It's one application for all 3 of these programs. Okay. So, when you're applying, you're gonna fill out there's one additional essay question. You're gonna fill out one additional form, and then there are 3 boxes to check: honors, Prodesse Scholars, and presidential fellows. In my opinion, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't check all 3, unless for some reason Prodesse Scholars doesn't seem to be a good fit for you academically. Really, by checking all 3, you're just kind of putting yourself in the running for everything, and it makes the most sense to me. The final program, Presidential Fellows, we didn't touch on too much. That is kind of our premier scholarship program at Miami. So that is your full ride scholarship. That is full tuition, room and board, an additional stipend. As you can imagine, there are very few of the Presidential Scholars Awards because they are awarded to the top students every year. Of the 4,000 freshmen we bring in every year in our entering class, about 15 to 20 students are selected to be presidential fellows. So it's certainly not everyone, but it's a pretty selective process. It involves coming down for a day to interview on campus and things like that. But it is an amazing program, and I think, why not? If you are applying to the honors programs, it never hurts to apply and throw your hat in the ring for all 3 of them. So I would encourage you to do that if you are, considering at all applying to honors programs in college. We have some fantastic ones to choose from. This picture always gives me a little pause, right? Because it certainly happened prior to COVID, and these people are very close with food. So hopefully that's not freaking out too much. But that being said, talk a little bit about campus life and what happens on campus at Miami and what we have to offer as a community. Miami is really, truly a residential campus. You'll see in the background of my picture just kind of how we are in a small college town in Oxford, Ohio. Our students for the first 2 years on campus live in our residence halls. They become really a part of our Miami fold and our Miami community. We have 47 different residence halls on campus. So as you can imagine, they're not large. There are smaller buildings all around campus that our students live in. Freshmen live in freshman dorms, and then upper class students, or typically sophomores, live in upper class dorms. Juniors and seniors can stay on campus if they want to, but most of our juniors and seniors do choose to move off campus. Quite a bit of housing off campus, whether it's homes or apartments in the area, or just, fun and a little bit more freedom for our students as they're getting a little bit older. But freshman and sophomore year, you are required to live in the dorm. So we do find that most students enjoy that experience. We have great residence halls. We've renovated most of our buildings. They're all pretty nice, so we don't hear too many complaints. They just recently renovated my freshman year dorm, which I'm kind of cracking up at because it's a whole new world there now, and such a nice facility, so beautiful. So another thing to note on campus, dining hall options. We have amazing dining halls on our campus. We do not hear a lot of complaints about food. This ice cream cone is just one example of many, many amazing opportunities for you to eat on campus. So I do think that's certainly not a reason to choose the campus, but a nice bonus if you do end up at Miami. we organize our community or our residence halls by what we call living learning communities. So that means that we have like 35 different living learning communities to choose from. And there are quite a few options. So if you're into volunteerism, or if you're into, you want to live near people that are also pre-med because you're pre-med as a major, lots of different areas to choose from, and just lots of different ways to kind of connect with people who have similar interests to you. Speaking of interests, there are quite a few opportunities to be involved at Miami. And when students and parents ask me, you know, who's a successful Miami student? Who's typically successful on your campus? My answer is always a student who is balanced and is involved outside the classroom. Because while we do have a rigorous academic experience, we also have so much to do outside of the classroom that really, you know, can be such a highlight to your undergraduate experience. So we have more than 600 student organizations, and you'll see the list here of so many different academic and Greek life and athletic opportunities. I'd say statistically speaking, athletics are probably the largest involvement, or the largest way to stay involved on campus. Roughly 18 Division I sports at the varsity level, but then additionally for the more common folk, including myself at the time, club sports, intramural sports, just things that you can try that you've never done before. The big sport at Miami for freshmen is something called broom ball. I don't know if you're at all familiar with broom ball, but broom ball is something you play on ice that looks a lot like hockey, but you play in your gym shoes and you tape them up with duct tape to make them sticky, and there's a lot of bruising involved, but it's a very fun experience, and even faculty have broom ball teams. All of our freshmen tend to play broom ball. You'll notice a lot of ice sports at Miami. We have a pretty fantastic ice rink. Our men's hockey team and our women's synchronized skating teams are both phenomenal. And so we've got this gorgeous rink. And then, you know, the regular folks also use it to play broom ball and, you know, do fun ice skating things on Friday nights and stuff. So it is a pretty cool experience. And the ice rink is smack in the middle of campus. So it makes for a really fun Friday night, you know, experience. But you'll see there are lots of different options. One thing I want to touch on quickly is Greek life. Miami does have a pretty large, you know, Greek community. Statistically, only about 30% of our students are involved in Greek life, but they tend to be the more outgoing students. So you do tend to see quite a bit of our Greek life, you know, on display on campus if you visit at all. A couple things we do differently with Greek life, though. Number one, we don't do rush, where you would join a fraternity or sorority until February of your freshman year. So during your first semester of your freshman year, you will not hear a lot about Greek life. You will not hear from the sororities or fraternities trying to recruit you. You won't have people knocking on your door saying, come join, you know, our organization. That really doesn't happen until second semester. And then during second semester, if you are interested, you go through a formal rush process, and that's different for men than it is for women. But, you know, similarly, you go around to different areas and meet with the different chapters that are on our campus. There are roughly 20 to 25 fraternities and roughly 20 to 25 sororities on our campus. And then when you're meeting them, you're kind of talking with them about your interests and about kind of what you like to do, you know, what your interests are and how you connect with them. So, typically students do find a fit Greek-wise, you know, if they are going through the rush process, but everybody, you know, tends to experience it a little bit differently. If you do pledge, where you join a fraternity or sorority, then sophomore year, that tends to dictate where you live on campus. And so men, if you do join a fraternity, we have fraternity houses on our campus that you can live in sophomore year. So I know we talked about that you're required to live on campus for 2 years, but the exception to that rule is if you join a Greek organization, you will be able to live off campus, men in the fraternity house. They're literally right across the street from campus, so that works out well. Women, we do not have sorority houses on our campus at Miami, which is kind of different than most schools of our size and of our age. But so if you do join a sorority, and again, I'm going to use this picture in the background of me. If you join a sorority, you can live in Central Quad, which is the picture behind me, and McCracken Hall is the tall one that you're looking at right behind me. And Central Quad is really dedicated to sophomore women that are in sororities. And so most of the dorms in Central Quad are divided into living learning communities that are Greek living learning communities. So they'll have, you know, one floor of one of these buildings is one sorority, and then the next floor is a different sorority, and the next floor is a different sorority. And they kind of divvy it up so that multiple sororities can be in each building and they can live near each other, but you're not just in a house with your sorority sister. So honestly, I kind of love it. I think it's real neat that because freshman year, as you're as you're, kind of getting acclimated to campus and getting involved in all kinds of activities, you meet all kinds of people from all different walks of life. And not all of those people that you become friends with end up in your sorority. And so I think it's still kind of neat that you're involved freshman year, or that you're, connected sophomore year, and that you're able to meet these people from other walks of life that might be in a different sorority than you, but you're still eating in the same dining hall. You're still walking the same routes to campus or to class every day. You'll still encounter a lot of these people, even though they're not, living right next door to you in your sorority. So I think it's a really good setup, but it's different than most schools. So I like to go over it in a little bit more detail. Carrying on a little bit, I could spend days on this and I won't, but Oxford, Ohio really is just such a gem of a college town and such a neat little community to be a part of if you are coming to campus with us for 4 years. You won't stay in Oxford beyond 4 years. We're really not, a place where a lot of students settle upon graduation, but we really have such a unique and dynamic college town. Most people that live in Oxford are somehow affiliated with the university, whether it's your professors or faculty or staff. All of our students are right there. So it really is such a vibrant community. And just let we're 200 years old. So lots of neat traditions, lots of neat legends. You'll see all this if you tour. If you have toured already, this probably looks familiar to you, but such a great town. And if you haven't visited, I would absolutely encourage you to. In that same breath, you will leave Oxford, Ohio. And so we just, like to emphasize, and I know it's hard as juniors and seniors in high school to imagine this, but the day will come, when it's time to job search and time to look around for either an internship or a job opportunity. I know for some of you who are thinking, I don't even know what my major is at this point, it's hard to envision this, but Miami does have such a great support system and such an amazing career center and career resources available to you that you're really going to have guidance from day one, and I would encourage you as you're coming to campus and as freshmen and sophomores to check in with the career center, because they really do a phenomenal job of just making sure that you feel comfortable setting up a resume and that you're really, making efforts to expand your horizons, whether it be exploring one major or exploring one career or job shadowing with companies or doing anything. Especially, I'm guessing a lot of you are from the Chicago area. When you're coming back home to Chicago the summer after your freshman year, my gosh, you've got just the resources at your hands in the city of Chicago. There are 12,000 Miami alums in Chicago. And so the network that exists there for career, whether it be internship opportunities or job opportunities, or even just following someone around for the day that's a Miami alum to see what they do, you've just got some really cool opportunities there. And so I think, to be honest, I'm always biased with Chicago students. I say you have the best of both worlds. You go away to Miami, to the small college town, but then you come back home to Chicago where you can tap into this large city and amazing resources job-wise. So got some good stuff here. Statistically, 98% of students at Miami are in a job in their field or in graduate school within 6 months of graduation. So we do a really good job of making sure that you have that guidance. And likewise, I don't want to assume everyone's going on to jobs, because many of our students do go on to that next level of education, whether it be medical school or law school, or, maybe we're going on to architecture, master's level in architecture or master's in speech pathology, or, there's so many specialties that you can continue on with that many of our students do go on to graduate school and are very successful in that route as well. So lots of help there too. These are the boring pages. I'm sorry, no more pictures, but we'll talk a little bit here about tuition and about admission and about scholarships. And I like to flip back and forth a lot here. So hopefully I don't lose you. But tuition at Miami, we are a public institution. So of course, tuition is different in Ohio than it is out of state. And assuming most of you are from Illinois, you're certainly going to see a larger, bill when it comes time for tuition. That being said, though, the one thing I want to emphasize is just this tuition promise over here that Miami does lock your tuition for 4 years. So you will see that your tuition that you pay freshman year will be the same sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. So will your room and board, although room and board is just a little different because it varies every year. So where you live varies, and then what your cost is to live there also varies. So while the room and board costs do not increase, just your choices, differ a little bit. And to be honest, sometimes your room and board costs do go down. Once you move off campus and you're sharing a house with 8 other girls or 8 other guys, you might find that it's a little bit lower, and, your grocery bills and things like that vary. And so, so it does really vary depending on, what your choices are. I want to flip, and I'm going to come back to this how to apply slide, but I want to flip over to scholarships and financial aid, because I really feel like this should be right next to tuition. Our scholarships at Miami are automatic when you submit your Common App. So seniors, as you're applying and you're, getting all your stuff into us, as long as you have things in by December 1st, you're going to be automatically considered for scholarships. And you'll see here, our scholarships are based solely on your GPA and your high school record this year, because we have gone test optional because of COVID. So we're not using test scores at all to determine your scholarship. And that being said, you can probably kind of tell right now, right, where you fall and what your scholarship will look like coming out of, when you're applying to Miami. So you see here that there is a range of money for each of our, each of those bands. And depending on where you fall, you're guaranteed the minimum amount, but you absolutely can get up to the highest amount, or the highest amount within that range for scholarships. So yes, we do award up to full tuition scholarships based solely just on your Common App. Going back now, just as I want to go back to admission stuff here and talk a little bit about, what are our averages, what do we look at, that kind of stuff. Common App is all we accept. So there's nothing additional you need to do. You just submit your Common App to Miami. And like I said, December 1 is kind of the magical date, because we want to make sure that we have everything in and can notify you earlier. Really, it's fine to apply later on, but there's really no need to wait. We do give priority consideration to students that get stuff in by December 1. So I know I talk to students occasionally who say, but I really want my senior grades. I really want to include my senior year grades. And the thing is, you'll be able to update us with your senior year grades really automatically. Once you get those grades, you'll be able to put those into your Miami portal that you'll have online, and you can share those with us immediately. But the priority consideration given to students that apply by December 1, it's worth it to get your application in earlier and then update us throughout the year rather than waiting to send everything until later. So as long as you apply by December 1st, and applying means you're getting your Common App into us. If you want to submit test scores, you're getting those in. Again, I can't emphasize enough that we are truly test optional this year. If you've had an opportunity to take a test, fantastic. But I know a lot of you maybe had an opportunity junior year and haven't had any chances to take it this year yet. Or if you have, you're not really that thrilled with your scores. Whatever works for you. I will give you an idea of test scores and just kind of generally. Oh, yes. Thank you for the question. I was just about to say that and I missed your question. A middle 50% for test scores for ACT, SAT, and of course, GPA. Well, let's do GPA first, because that's what we're using now. So our average GPA coming in last year was between a 3.5 and a 4.0, and that's your weighted GPA. So we always take a weighted number. Average ACT scores coming in last year, and we super score your tests, were between a 26 and a 31. And then average SAT scores, and I apologize, this is embarrassing that I need to look this up, but because I took the ACT myself so many years ago, I still don't speak SAT as well as I should. But middle 50% SAT is between 1230 and a 1390, okay? So that can give you an idea. I think when you're thinking about, do I send my test score in? Think a little bit about, do I fall within those middle 50% ranges? And if you do, or obviously if you're above them, I'd go ahead and send it. I don't see any reason not to. But on the other hand, if you're a little bit below that, what a great opportunity to say, you know what, I don't need to send this. I don't need to, they're not really worried too much about this year, which is fantastic. So, your call on if you want to send it or not. We talked a little bit about the more selective programs, that the business and nursing programs. And I want to emphasize with those, average ACT, I'm so sorry, you guys, the ragweed is attacking my nose. But that being said, average ACT and GPAs coming into those programs are a little bit higher. So with business, our average ACT scores are between a 28 and a 30. With nursing, average ACT scores are also 29 to 30. So again, if you're applying to those more selective programs, you make the call if you want to submit the ACT or not. You certainly don't need to. But if you are within that range, then that gives you, free reign to do that and not be too worried about it. All right. Whether or not you submit test scores, just kind of how this logistically works, you're going to submit your Common App to us. You're going to have your guidance counselor or school counselor or a teacher submit a rec letter to us. A lot of students ask me if they can send in their Common App before the teacher submits the rec letter or counselor submits their rec letter. And the answer is yes, you absolutely can submit your Common App before a counselor or a teacher sends their rec letter through. Their rec letter that comes in through Common App will feed into our system automatically as soon as they submit it, okay? So you don't need to wait on that person writing your rec letter in order to get your part in, and to be honest, you shouldn't wait because we want your part in. We would never hold it against you if a teacher was late sending a rec letter, but if you were late, we would say, wait a minute, what's going on here? So we'd rather have your stuff in, and then of course, if the teacher's a day or two late, we're not gonna penalize you for that, I promise. So your teacher or counselor is gonna get the rec letter in, and then this is a little different from past years. This year, year, we are doing something a little bit different with your grades. So instead of having a transcript sent from your high school, this year we are asking you to self-report your high school information. So your courses that you've taken in high school, your grades in those courses, and the level of each course. That's something you're going to report to us. The day after you submit your Common App to us, you'll get an email from Miami saying, of course, thank you for your Common App, and it'll direct you to your Miami applicant status page, okay? It's a link within this email. It takes you to a little portal. It's your little Miami portal, and in that portal, you'll see all the stuff we have. So you'll see your Common App. If you've submitted test scores, you'll see those. You'll also see a link to a self-reported academic record, which is abbreviated SRAR. And if you do see that there, you'll see it's clickable. You should click on that, and that is where you will submit all of your information from your high school. So you'll type in freshman year courses, sophomore year courses, junior year courses, and senior year courses. You'll also put grades in for freshman year, sophomore year, or junior year, but of course you won't put grades in for senior year yet because you don't have them. Another thing you can self-report on that self-reported record is test scores. So you no longer need to send official test scores to us because you can send, all through the self-reported academic record, you can submit SAT scores, you can submit ACT scores. If you want a super score, you can submit multiple scores to us through that portal. And then additionally, if you're taking another test, like let's say you're signed up for, isn't there an ACT this Saturday? I think you're signed up for that. Or when your new grades come in from senior year, you can log into that portal and submit your new grades the day you get them. So it's very automatic. It's very quick. It allows you to kind of manage the process, which I like it. I like that we take your high schooler, kind of the middleman, out of the equation, but it does put a lot of responsibility on you to make sure that you are, updating us with your most recent information. The reason it's important to update us with your grades, if you look back here, is your GPA plays into scholarships, right? So if you're at a 3.74 GPA and at the end of first semester senior year, you go up to a 3.75, check that out. You're going to see a little bit more scholarship money, okay? But you have to remember to go in and update it. So do not forget. Now I feel like I'm sounding like my daughter's second grade teacher, right? Like, do not forget to do this. But it's really important because it's gonna make a difference in the money in the offer that you get, okay? One other question that someone asked just now is, will we be test optional in the future? I would gladly tell you, not in writing, that I do think that we probably will stay test optional for a couple years here just to see how it goes. But have I seen that in writing anywhere? No, I just heard us talk about it a little bit. And I think a lot of the juniors this year are going to be seeing a lot of challenges in getting into tests. So ideally we can stay test optional for a couple more years and just, let that play out and see how it goes. But like I said, nothing's official in writing yet, but that's just conversation I've heard. Another question that was asked is how many letters of recommendation we require. We only require one letter of recommendation, okay? But we don't, it can be from a teacher or your school counselor. It does not matter who it's from, but it has to be one kind of academic in nature letter of recommendation. There is an essay on the application. It's the Common App essay, okay? Because we use the Common App, there's just, those list of 7 questions on Common App. You just need to answer one of them and submit it, but there's nothing beyond the Common App essay until you get to that honors application. If you are thinking about applying to the honors program, the honors application does have one additional essay, but of course it's optional. You don't need to apply to the honors program at all, but if you choose to, you'll see it's one additional essay question that you would need to submit, okay? And then last question I see here, which is a really good one, does the business school have an entrepreneurial program? It actually does. So our business school has kind of your traditional business majors, finance, marketing, accounting, but then in addition, we do have an entrepreneurship co-major that you can add into any major. So I would encourage you to kind of think outside the box in terms of entrepreneurship, because there are quite a few students that add that entrepreneurship co-major that aren't necessarily business majors. They're engineering majors, they're education majors, but they're feeling entrepreneurial in nature, and they bring that into play too. So yes, you can add the entrepreneurship co-major. We also have a center for entrepreneurship at Miami that kind of, you can do something like a 1 semester experience with them, where you kind of entrepreneurship wise, you have your own little company. You kind of create your own little company and go through that process of building the finance portion of it out, building the marketing portion of it out, and so on. And that entrepreneurship, like 1 semester experience, again, is open to students outside of business and students in the business school. So you see some really creative people come into that, like graphic design majors, like engineering majors who want to do something entrepreneurial for a semester. We also actually have, I'm sorry, again, too much knowledge, I'm an alum, but we also have a really cool cool week, an entrepreneurship week on campus, where we take students to different locations. In the past, we've come up to Chicago, actually, and we've done an entrepreneurship week where they go around and kind of meet different Miami alums that are like 5 years or less out of college that are doing entrepreneurial things in Chicago. So if any of you have attended in the past, if any of you have gone to any college fairs in the Chicago area, which I know is probably slim pickings, right, because of COVID, but if you've ever been to any college fairs and you've done that little scanning app on your phone where like, here I am as the college rep with my phone and I scan for your information, if you've ever done that, that is run by not the scanning itself, but like the back, who's running the tech of it, that's a Miami alum company there, and they're one of our entrepreneurship stops on the entrepreneurship tour that Miami takes students on every year in Chicago. So kind of a fun little connection there. But yeah, lots of great opportunities in business to do entrepreneurship stuff, even if you're not a business major. So really cool stuff there too. You guys all have fantastic questions. Thank you for asking. I'm going to throw one more screen at you and then I promise I'm done. And the last screen is about visiting. So coming down to see us at Miami. If you do have an opportunity to, or if you'd like to come down and visit us, you are more than welcome to. Like I said, we have a couple tour options open for you now. They're pretty limited because we are just doing like one tour guide per one family. So it's very different than it used to be. But we keep the tour entirely outside. Everyone is masked, so hopefully you'll feel safe doing that. And it does give you a chance to see the campus, and our students are on campus now. So it's a pretty lively place, Oxford, Ohio. We do have a mask ordinance, so please pack your masks because you have to wear them outside and inside all the time, but we'd love to have you down. And I know especially seniors that probably haven't had a chance to visit yet, this is a good time to do it. Fall is a gorgeous time on our campus, so we'd love to have you see it. That being said, one more thing to mention, we do not track demonstrated interest or visits to campus for admission purposes, okay? So whether or not you visit Miami before you apply is not gonna have any impact on whether or not you're admitted to Miami, okay? We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you on your own time, but we don't want you to feel like you've got to get there before you apply, because maybe it works better for your schedule to come in February or March or April. Maybe you're a fall athlete, or maybe, you know, everything is going on right now with COVID. Maybe you're just not quite ready yet, and that's totally fine. Come when it works for you, but whenever you're there, you know, we'd love to see you. I just don't want you to feel like you need to be there or you're not going to get in, because it's certainly not the case. All right. So thank you so much for joining me here tonight. If you do have additional questions, I'll hang for a few minutes here, but then also you'll get an email from me tomorrow. So if you need anything additional, or you think of something 5 minutes after we hang up, just shoot me a note tomorrow and let me know, and I'll be happy to chat with you. Okay. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. Maybe go watch the Bears game and have a great night. All right. Thanks again. And I will stop sharing my screen now so you don't have to look at this. Thank you again and take care.
All right, just some closing comments in case, does anybody have any additional questions and answers for Heather? Feel free to type them in now.
I should have gotten it.
She was thorough and so excellent. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was really good, really good. But what we're going to do is we'll wrap things up now. Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. You're good.
I want to thank you. Oh, one more question. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, you know, I don't know if I can share my contact info. I don't know if I have it. Can I put it in the chat? I'll type an answer. I'll just type an answer to you.
Or if you are sending them an email, will you include your contact information?
Oh, yes. Yes. You will get my contact information tomorrow, but I also am just sending it right now to you directly. So hopefully you got that, just my email address. But also you'll get an email from StriveScan and IACAC tomorrow, and that will have like, thanks for joining Heather at Miami. It's kind of cheesy, but it'll have all my contact information in there, so you'll be able to contact me directly. Yes, anytime.
Absolutely. So before you end tonight, or as you end tonight, you're going to close the window and you'll have a quick 4-question survey. You're welcome, again, as I indicated at the outset, that you'll be able to sign up for more sessions. That lovely email, or that lovely URL is www.iacac.org. And again, reminder, this recording is available, so send your friends, have them take a look at Miami as well. But I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us at Illinois ACAC, and I hope that your college plans go incredibly well. Thank you, Heather, for your wonderful presentation.
Yes, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Good night.
All right. Goodbye. Take care.